And at the beginning, even just 4 years ago, content was so different. There certainly was video, but it was not as video heavy as it is now.
This is Stay Paid, a sales and marketing podcast on a mission to help you close more deals and retain more business.
Welcome to another episode of Stay Paid. I'm Joshua Stike along with Luke Acree. And before we bring our guest on today, we'd love it if you take a minute to subscribe to Stay Paid on Apple Podcasts or Spotify if you're not already subscribed. And while you're there, drop us a review. We'll read it here on the show. This week's review actually is a YouTube comment. So this didn't come from Apple Podcasts. This actually came from YouTube, but it was the Jared James episode. I don't know if you remember that episode, the 2-finger follow-up system, right?
I remember that.
When following up, you had to get the thumbs up or
the other middle finger that we know.
This person commented, wow, found this after learning about Reminder Media online. Always looking to enhance what I listen to and how I spend the time. Love the openness and candid conversation. Glad you all do this. Thanks. That came from MGA. You can also check Reminder Media and Stay Paid out on YouTube, youtube.com/Reminder Media. Go ahead and make sure that you are subscribed there. We're coming up on almost 1 million views on our videos. That's pretty exciting on Reminder Media.
Let's go.
Our guest today is Chad Vaughn. He's a real estate agent out of Orlando, Florida. He's a married father to 2 girls and 1 cat, as he points out in his bio. And he's in his 4th year of real estate. We're going to let Chad tell his full story here, but we wanted to have him on because of the success that he's been having on Instagram right now and how that's translated to deals. More importantly, he started building his Instagram while he was in his license prep classes.
Talk about a go-getter.
Some of his very first deals and a lot of his current business traces directly to that organic Instagram content today. Chad, welcome to Stay Paid. Thanks for coming on.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Chad, man, I really appreciate you coming on the show. We got connected, I think, through Instagram is how we got connected. And I started following you and I just started watching your reels. And I eventually just got to the point I was like, okay, we got to have this guy on the show because the amount of consistency and great content, like it's easy to, I shouldn't say that. It's not easy to be consistent in anything.
It's not easy.
But it's a lot easier to be consistent with like bad content. But to be consistent with good content is super hard. And I think you do it extremely well. So I want to pick your brain and try to get some advice even for myself on how to put out good reels and what you do in your hacks. Before we jump into that, could you though share with the audience kind of the Cliff Notes version of your journey so far in real estate, what got you into real estate, lead us up to today?
Sure. I think like most real estate agents, I lived a lot of different professional lives before getting my license. And, getting my license was something that I wanted to do for years, but I don't know. I talked myself out of it. I feel like I kind of always knew that it was the right path, but I was afraid that I wouldn't make it. I don't know. And so I just kept talking myself out of getting it. So a couple of years ago, my wife finally told me, she's like, if you don't go get your license, I'm going to go get my license. One of us is going to get licensed. So I said, yes, ma'am. And I went and got my license. And at the time, I was working full time, married, 2 kids, didn't have the cat yet. But, I wasn't really in a position where I felt comfortable leaving my job. I still had a mortgage to pay, still had bills. And, I would have loved to have been, full gorilla, full time, right off the bat, but I just wasn't there. So I knew that immediately that social media was going to be my ticket because there was no other way that I could get in front of effectively an infinite amount of people while I was still working, while I was on my lunch break or a coffee break or whatever, I could get a post in. And so from day like -60 is when I really started building my Instagram because I knew that was going to be the way for me. So from then, my first couple of deals, like you said, they were through Instagram. And still today, a vast majority of my business comes through Instagram, whether it's people in my life fear that I'm not picking up the phone to call them to check in on them and, see how I can help them, but they see me on social media. And I think it's because of the consistency there. There's no questioning what I do. So for people that follow me, I'm synonymous here with real estate, and that's the goal.
Well, walk through that early content. Like you were creating videos and building your Instagram while you were still getting your license. How did that ultimately translate to the deal? Because I think people are always very interested if they're not seeing immediate success from Instagram and from content from an organic standpoint. Everyone thinks you have to spend a ton of money on advertising to generate the leads. What kind of content were you doing, and how did those first few deals actually come in?
Well, the first content was terrible. Like when I go back and look at it, I'm like, this is awful, But the point was, what I was doing is I was taking information that I was seeing, whether it was through articles. As soon as you get your license, you start getting 1,000 emails a day with different blogs and articles and information. So I would take some of that and I would synthesize it into something consumable and helpful for somebody that was buying or selling or thinking about real estate. And I would take that and produce content around that. And at the beginning, even just 4 years ago, content was so different. There certainly was video, but it was not as video heavy as it is now. So at the time, I really wasn't producing videos. A lot of it was terrible graphics or just a static post or whatever. But a lot of those initial, the first several clients that I had, they were folks that responded to me like through an Instagram poll. So I was providing some sort of an information. I didn't have any firsthand knowledge or experience. I wasn't showing, the houses I was selling because I didn't have it. I didn't have testimonials. But I was able to provide information, and then I would ask a simple question. People, were they in their dream house right now? Were they looking to buy or sell? Would they like a market report or whatever? And people that would respond, yes, for me, that's doors wide open. I'm ready to have the conversation. You've allowed me to message you now and have that conversation.
Is that what you would do? You would go through people that said yes and actually DM them. What would you DM them?
100%. It depends on the question. So if it was, are they in their dream home now? Let's start with a conversation of, what does your dream home look like? Where are you looking to buy? Like, are you looking to buy in the next 6 to 12 months? I would always, try to carry on a conversation as much as possible, and then find a way to transition it into email or phone call or to collect some sort of information so we can continue the conversation.
That's so good.
And I think that was always looking for a value add. If they were a homeowner, can I email you over a home valuation or a market report for your zip code, just so you can keep aware, not trying to sell the home, but just as a homeowner, it'd be responsible for you to understand what's happening in your neighborhood. Would you like a monthly report?
Yeah. For everyone listening, because Instagram features and things that work on social media change so much. What worked 4 years ago doesn't work today. Do polls still work today? Do you still do polls like that generate leads? Are you seeing other people do that? Or is there a new thing that's kind of taken over a way to get the engagement?
Yeah, I've done polls. Since the link just, they made the link available for everybody just after I got to 10,000.
You got to 10,000?
We know the feeling.
just right there. But the link has been great. I've been able to link, if I use the HomeBot.
Yeah.
So I link that sometimes. I link to different parts on my website. And then I've even put to drop like an email address.
Yeah.
So I've had people do that as well. So they all work. I think that never is there like an influx of a ton of attention, right. But it's a slow, constant trickle. It's not something that I do very regularly, nor do I think that it should be done regularly. But I think we have to give people an opportunity to raise their hand and indicate interest. Yeah. And once they've done that, that's the green light to continue the conversation.
That's super good. Actually, I think, you mentioned HomeBot. I was going to mention them too. Mm-hmm. It's like, I think they do a great job of giving real estate agents a way for them to share with consumers the value of their home on an ongoing basis. I think a great poll that everybody could run right now, you could almost do it two different ways. You could do a post or a story that basically goes, I'm curious, how many of the people that follow me know the value of their home? Do you know the value of your home? Yes or no? And anybody who says no, obviously you can reach out to them. Or anybody who says yes, hey, I'd love to know what you think it is because I'd love to compare it to my stats and what I have for you type idea. And then the other is doing kind of a playing off this game that like everybody is sitting on so much equity. I don't know. Where are you at? You're Orlando?
Orlando, yeah.
Orlando. So I don't know if Orlando's market is as crazy as everybody else's. I'm sure it is. Where like homes have gone up 58,000 and our equity's gone up 58,000, like on average. Doing something like that where you're posting, doing a reel or doing something around, hey, you've added 58,000 to your equity on average if you're an American homeowner. Do you know how much equity you have? And getting people just to respond and raise their hand. I would love for you to talk a little bit about Reels specifically, because one of the things that I'm just blown away with is your just ability to produce consistent, good content. You mentioned that you pull off the articles. Like, how do you go about structuring your reels? Like, I would love to know just everything about how you come up with ideas, to how many you do a week, to do you do them all in one day? Do you do them daily? Just give us kind of your walkthrough of that.
I'd love to say that I'm a batcher and I'm a planner, but I'm really not. Everything is almost off the cuff. I don't really plan a whole lot in advance. I do take, the first hour or so of my day, I spend pretty focused on social media. And part of that is scrolling through reels because I want to see what is trending, what's going on. There's a lot of influencer accounts that basically teach you how to do reels and show you what is trending. So a lot of those are really good resources for finding ideas for content. So I like to get ideas not just from other real estate agents, but people that are outside of real estate.
Do you have a favorite there? It's okay if you don't. I'd love to know any. We can maybe link to them after the show if you could send them to us. But do you have any favorites that you follow?
Yeah, Brock Johnson is one of the ones that I like a lot.
Okay.
I like a lot of the content he posts. He does a lot of dancing, which I will not be doing in any of my reels, nor have I ever. Which is for everybody's best interest. But
well, that's a great point. So many people think for reels and TikTok. I mean, we kind of had this naivety in the beginning with TikTok. Is that you have to dance?
We don't know how to dance.
Yeah. Right. Hey, speak for yourself. I'm a great dancer. No, I'm just kidding.
Not pretty when I dance.
It took me a long time to start doing reels for that reason too. I just don't understand. This is dumb. These are stupid videos or pointing and dancing. I don't get it, and I don't understand how that translates. But the reality is, for me, that was me looking at it I feel insecure creating this type of content, and I don't know how to do this in a way that I don't feel stupid. And frankly, sometimes I do feel stupid, but the point is not about how I feel about it, but it's about doing it every day. Because to rewind it all the way back, when I started on social media, I made a decision that this was going to be the cornerstone of my business. And as such, I didn't give myself the opportunity, and I still don't give myself the opportunity to turn that off. I don't get to not show up to the office. That's my office. That's my open for business sign. And if I'm not doing that, then I'm not doing my job. That is how I generate business. That's how I market. Because the other side of that too is there's so many ways to generate business. Cold calls and door knocking, they're effective and they work, but they're not for me. I don't do them. I never have. This is how I do that. So I take it really seriously. So in terms of how much I create, I don't really view it as any other option but to do it. So I look at it I don't batch. I generally do them one at a time, maybe two at a time if I'm feeling quite productive, but that's not generally the case. I do 4 to 5 a week at least. I try to every Monday through Friday to have one up. Sometimes that doesn't happen, and that's not the end of the world. I'll try to make one up over the weekend. But yeah, try to do it, at least 4 or 5 times a week.
Now, when you think about your content, do you stick to real estate specifically? How do you think about content and content ideas and where you pull from?
Yeah, generally, just about everything I've done is real estate specific. There's a few things that are not, but I realize that people that have chosen to follow me are generally following me because of real estate stuff. So I do want to stay pretty much on topic there in terms of the reels. And then thinking of things that are not only helpful, but shareable and somewhat evergreen in a way. A lot of the trending stuff is not. But in terms of the content and the, within the caption, I want to make that stuff something that's helpful for a while. How
long does it take you to usually do one reel?
Most of my stuff is super unfancy. It's just me in front of the camera. So usually maybe 10 to 30 minutes at the most if I'm doing a lot of transitions, but they're generally pretty simple. And at first it did take me a longer time, but I think just like with anything, once you get used to doing it, it's not as big of a deal as
I saw a funny TikTok where it was of course, it was using a trending audio, and it said like realizing that after spending 5 or 6 hours producing the best video and then finding out that just using a trending audio takes about 30 seconds and gets
the roller the
800
video
times
looks, the better. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think that there's actually truth to that, like kind of that raw stuff. Like none of my stuff is produced. None of it, everything is on my phone. Nothing is fancy. Because and not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's me. I wear a t-shirt every day. Nothing is fancy about how I operate or how I do things. Nothing is glossy. So, I don't want to give off an image that is not accurate to what I actually do, not to say that I don't do my job well, but there's, that's just how I am. It's me, I'm simple.
What has been the biggest contributor as you're seeing like your reach, and like, I'm sure you look at your reels and stuff and the results just like we do. And you kind of analyze, all right, why did this work type of thing. What have you seen is producing the most engagement? Is it the trending audios? Is it is it using a transition that some people are trending right now? Is it using hashtags? Like, what are you seeing actually impacting it?
I played with doing hashtags and not. Honestly, there was no difference between when I used them and when I didn't. So I think I'm leaning more towards just not using them anymore. And I think too, when you have a lot of text in the caption, I think that does the heavy lifting of what we think that a hashtag actually does. But I honestly, there's really no rhyme or reason, in my opinion. I think that the things that creates a lot of engagement, anytime I see the market's not crashing, that everybody gets very tweaked about that. So that it's like clockwork. But some of the ones that have done the best are the ones that are very off the cuff, there's not a whole lot of planning or forethought into it. It's just kind of very raw.
I think the CEO of Instagram said that hashtags don't have any impact on how the content gets served. They're basically there just to teach the computers what the video is.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I just saw that video. I think it was like in the last week or two that he was saying that it doesn't affect your reach. It teaches the algorithm.
Right.
So if you have text in the video, the algorithm Instagram is reading that and analyzing that, and also the caption. So if you're being descriptive there, then I think that's doing the heavy
That's
lifting.
a great point. I don't think a lot of people think about the caption of making it descriptive from a search standpoint and trying to use, not blatant, but trying to use search descriptive, things in your caption. I don't normally.
Well, apparently, like you can look at what the algorithm thinks your photo is. I watched a video where they like were able to screen grab it. And I think it's, if you do it on a desktop, like there's a split second where the text, the metadata of the image loads. And it's doing what Chad's saying, where it's like, it's actually looking at the words. If you've got something on your shirt, it's reading those words on your shirt and putting that into the meta description. So you want to use your hashtags, I guess, to be descriptive of the video. And then I think the captions and the other text is what's really helping other users be able to find what that video is.
Do you try to always write long captions or no?
Well, I play with both, because I think that it's funny with Instagram, you can find the answer that you're looking for based on what you're looking for. Some people say keep it super short. Some people say keep it super long. So I've seen it go both ways. I've played with both, and I think that for me it's important that there's variety in it too, because you're speaking to so many people, even if you're speaking singularly, that different people receive things in different ways. Some people want high information. Some people just want a quick little laugh and to go on with their day. So try to keep it variety.
And it's also like one of the most powerful things for me in understanding social is that everybody's in a different framework or a different context at a different time. So like Josh might wake up today super happy. I might wake up today depressed just by what's going on in my life. That then in and of itself affects how I receive content.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, you cannot overthink it. You just got to be in that consistency of putting it out over and over again, staying in your lane of where your passion is, where your authenticity is, and realize that you're going to hit somebody at a certain time based upon their interest and where they're at. And the example I've used before is this kid named Mason. He puts out really high quality content like yourself. He's an agent down in Texas. And I don't really watch any of his stuff. I just look at it and go, oh, that's really high quality. And he's doing things on real estate. But he literally did a video one time that talked about want to pay no taxes through real estate or whatever. And taxes, I had just been dealing with the pain point in it of these investment properties I'm doing in flips. And guess what? Because in my context of my life and my pain points that are going on, and he had a caption on it, he's produced so many other videos. I watched that video because it drew me in. And that's what you got to realize, that there's going to be one or two people today that see the reel, maybe more, but it literally is spot on for where they're at in their journey. And that can turn into the deal. And in real estate, I mean, what's an average commission for you in real estate where you're at in Orlando?
Oh gosh, that depends. Couple $1,000 for sure.
So think about it that way. Like literally you just need one or two people a day and it could turn into a couple $1,000. It's unbelievable. Right. So it's just, I think we get caught up.
I'm like, oh, I don't have hundreds or thousands of views, or this one's performing, lower. And it's, like I tell my sellers, like at the end of the day, we want a lot of people to come to the open house or come see the property, but at the end of the day, we only need one.
Yep.
We don't need 1,000 buyers. That's not the point. And so it's the same thing, with the content. Yeah, of course we want a higher reach, but at the end of the day, if you're reaching 30 people, it's probably 30 more people than you were going to be presenting to anyway today, or that you were going to pick up the phone and call or door knock. So is that not still a victory? And I think for me, it's 100% yes.
Yeah.
Some do well, some don't. But at the end of the day, you're still getting your message out to people. And for some people, it's going to hit them at the right spot at the right time.
And I think one of the hardest things with social, at least for myself, is realizing you've got to come from a place of contribution, not a place of driving engagement in the metrics. And if you come from that place of contribution and value, then the metrics and stuff like that will follow, based upon that target audience. If you have a really niche target audience, it's going to be a niche, metrics that you're going to get, but it is what it is. But coming from that place of contribution where it's like, I'm sharing this because I'm thinking about the audience and everything I do from the standpoint of, am I giving value to them? Not, am I getting something from this? Or where is this going to lead? Now, that's not to say you shouldn't have the overall vision of you ultimately want it to grow your business, but it means you shouldn't have to make every single piece lead to a direct response where someone raises their hand and subscribes, or someone raises their hand and wants to buy from you. It can't. And I think that's a balance that people are trapped, I should say, that people fall into, and they don't walk that balance very well. They try to make everything a direct response lead, and it just doesn't work that way.
People know how to get in touch with you if they want to.
Right.
People are not stupid. They can click on your name. If they want to get in touch with you, they will. So you need the calls to action here and there. You need the opportunity to raise the hand. Those things are important. But at the end of the day, if somebody wants to work with you, they will. They will find you.
Have you started on this on TikTok too? Or are you just doing Instagram Reels?
So bad. No, I haven't really started.
Okay, that's your action item, Chad. You got to get on TikTok. All your stuff would be phenomenal on TikTok. It's like exactly.
I do TikTok. Well, I should say I very lazily do TikTok. I throw a couple of my reels. I've thrown on there, and yes, definitely somewhere I need to focus on. But to your point of consistency, I'm on my own. There's nobody else. So I look at it in the sense of like, I want to do this really, really well. And I want to be really, really consistent.
I love that.
So TikTok kind of gives my sloppy seconds, to be honest with you. And it's terrible. I should be creating content specifically for TikTok. But right now in my Instagram Reels, that's where I'm getting in front of.
There's a golden nugget in there. Like the golden nugget to me is like, look, you should be on every platform that you can commit to and do consistently and do well. And don't be ashamed of avoiding the other ones. Although you should always challenge yourself to grow. So when you free up and you have that ability, right, from a motivation standpoint, a commitment standpoint, you can jump there. But your golden nugget of you decided early on, you were going to build your business around the cornerstone of social media, which made it like, hey, you don't not make your cold calls if cold calls is what generates the leads for you. Right. You don't not door knock if door knock is what generates the leads from you. You don't not post on social if that's the cornerstone of your business. You're committed to it. And so you've decided that to be Instagram. And I mean, it got us to reach out to you because I kept seeing your stuff and it just was so blown away, that consistency, the views you were getting, how you've grown organically. I was just like, man, I could not learn so much from this guy. It's crazy. So I'd love to ask you, because we ask everybody who comes on the show, right? In success, we find that successful people tend to have things they do in their life, routine-wise. And I would love to ask you, do you have any routines? Do you have anything you look back on and you go, man, I do this, and this has really driven success for me, both in business, but also in life in general?
Yeah. So, I mean, every day I don't have like a morning routine per se, but every morning is exercise Monday through Friday. Unless something particularly is catching me off guard. But Monday through Friday is exercise. And then honestly, one of the things that I did change was actually slowing down a little bit in the morning. And while my wife and kids are at home kind of getting ready for school, is to pause myself and be a part of that process. So to spend a little bit more time with them, because at the end of the day, that's what we're doing it for, right? At least for me, that's my motivation. That's my why. So I don't want to, especially in busy seasons like this is, to just kind of be a shadow. So being, first of all, making the time for myself in the morning to be healthy, to be focused, for my mental health too, that's important, but then to also be with the family.
I love it. Well, I watched a video, a couple of different videos, but I was watching a podcast video, and it was Ed Milet talking about a similar or a similar idea of like being present with your family, and this is what you do it for. And I think it was Jesse Itzler said this too, both really well-known kind of social guys and speakers. But to think about it in terms of like, I think of Evelyn. If Evelyn at 18 goes away and is on her own doing her thing, I have like 18, maybe 17 more Christmases with Evelyn from that perspective. And then thinking about time, thinking about why you do what you do, focused on being present for the ones you love, doing what you're doing, like work-wise and everything like that. So I love that comment of like, hey, this is what we do it for. We do it for our family and the work.
Love that. Chad, final question. Knowing what you know now, what would you go back and tell your younger self? Maybe that kid in high school. What would you go back and tell younger Chad?
I would have got my real estate license a lot sooner.
We've heard that one before too. Would have got a real estate, would have bought investment properties a lot sooner. All right. I love that. Thanks so much for coming on the show, Chad. Before we let you go, tell everyone how they can connect with you, what your Instagram handle is, all that good stuff.
Yeah, the best way to get me is on Instagram at Chad A. Baughan, Baughan.
Awesome. We're going to include a link to Chad's Instagram as well in the show notes of the episode. You can get that over at staypaidpodcast.com. If you enjoyed this episode and want to show your support, the best way is to share a friend, share this on social media, share this with someone that might need to hear it today if they're struggling with coming up with Instagram or social media content. And the other way we'd love for you to support the show is if you head on over to Apple Podcast, drop us a 5-star review along with a comment. If you want to get a hold of me or Luke, you can email us at podcast@remindermedia.com, or you can find us on Instagram and on TikTok. We are at Stay Paid Podcast. For this episode of Stay Paid, I'm Joshua Stike.
Guys, I'm Luke Acree. Chad, super grateful for you to come on, man, and share all the info that you've learned with Reels. Here's my challenge to everybody today, right? And I'm not going to make it specifically about Reels, though I think you should be doing them because I think it's an opportunity and that's where social's going. I'm going to make it about, hey, you got to be producing content. Like that is a non-negotiable. You must be putting out content out there and you must choose your platform that you commit to. And the action item I would give you is practice what Chad does, which is he consumes content. And he said, look, it's when you sign up to get your license, you're flooded with thousands of different emails, people emailing you different content. You can go to things like inman.com if you're in real estate, but every industry, there's so much content out there for you to consume. Take that content, synthesize it, and put it into helpful pieces of information that you can put out on your Facebook page, your LinkedIn, your Twitters, your Pinterest, your Instagrams, your TikToks, whatever your platform is that you've chosen. But that's your action item. If you're sitting there making an excuse for yourself because you're like, I don't know what to post, literally go and take this educational content that's being delivered to you that you find insightful, break it down to be consumable and helpful, and then put it out on the platform of choice. Remember, the difference between top producers and mediocre producers in every single business is top producers take action. Take action on that today.